Okay, today all I'm going to show you is how we're going to dress up the engravings on a firearm. I've done this already with my Springfield XD9. Notice the silver in the engravings, and it really brings out the detail. Um, it can be easily reversed with wiping it down heavily with some acetone. So if you wanted to do it with a collectible style firearm, you could while you owned it, and then take it back off in the event you found a buyer, wanted to sell it, something like that. Easy to return to original. What I have here is my DPMS AR-15, and I'm going to paint in the lettering here. What we're going to need for this, obviously, is a paintbrush. Now, I use a smaller paintbrush. It's easier to get into the grooves, and that's kind of the point. Also, we're going to be doing this with model car paint. Um, this stuff's a little bit hard to find. Had to actually go to a hobby store to find it. Uh, Walmart had quit carrying it. You might still find some in a Kmart or Target, not sure. Uh, Also, for wiping off the excess, I like to use mineral spirits. Um, Seems to be a little less harsh than acetone. Uh, it's real easy to wipe it out of the grooves with the acetone. And you will need, of course, some paper towels, obviously, and I like to use rubber gloves so that my hands don't come in contact with the chemicals and I don't get paint on them. Okay, so we've got our supplies lined out. We've got our firearm prepped and ready. Everything's nice and clean. Now let's use our color. In this situation, I'm going to go with yellow. Um, I want to be able to show some contrast on this. You can pick your color according to accessories you have. This particular one, white, would probably be nice, as I don't know if you can see, but notice my optics there is white. But again, just want to show some contrast, so I'm going to go with yellow. Make sure you shake it up really well. We want to make sure that we got a really good mix in the paint. These are really bad to thin out on you, and you don't want that. So make sure you shake it really well. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a light application on the brush itself, but we're going to dab fairly heavy in the grooves. Um, you want to use it fairly liberal. I wouldn't say use it sparingly. Um, we kind of want it to run into the grooves, so to speak. Um, Once you get a pool built up, however, then you can use some of that, notice this excess, to dab around in the other areas. And you can kind of see as you thin that out how it has sit in the grooves somewhat. We're just going to go over it here. For our purposes here, I'm just going to do the logo. I'm not going to really mess with the caliber markings and that sort of thing. For our purposes here, I believe this will be enough. Well, once you get the complete thing covered, I like to go back and forth and sideways and go over it and really make sure that I've got every little crevice in the cracks painted. This is obviously important. And as I do this, you'll notice the paint is starting to dry. It dries pretty quick. Just make sure you really give it a working over here. We want to make sure those engravings are coated really well. Now, once that is done, we're going to let this dry. It generally takes 10-15 minutes, I would say, for a decent drying time. The longer you wait, the more the paint is going to set into the crevices in the engraving, and it's going to lessen the chance of you actually pulling the paint out of the crevices when we go to wipe this excess off. So I would say recommend 10-15 minutes. That's if you're in a hurry. If you're not necessarily in a hurry, let it sit for a few hours even. Let it set up really good that way. Also, don't forget to clean your brush, of course. You don't want to have to buy a new brush every time you go to change colors or do another firearm. And we'll let this sit, and we will come back in, say, 10 or 15 minutes. And I'll illustrate how to finish the job. Okay, we got the paint good and dry here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us some of the mineral spirits. Fold my towel similar to this. Get a little bit of mineral spirit on it. Now, what I like to do is dab the towel around a little bit. And I want to wipe with an edge, and fairly lightly start working the paint off. Notice how it's starting to come off there. You don't want to work heavy with it. If you get too rough with it, it will start lifting out. You're going to get a little bit of smear. I found that it's worked with acetone, so that's why I like the mineral spirits. You'll find too the amount of force that you have to use to get the dried stuff off. Depends on how long you let it sit, of course, and it also depends on how much of the mineral spirits you have on your rag. I don't like to use a whole lot of mineral spirits because, again, I don't want to lift the stuff out of the grooves. And once you get that done, try to get some of the excess off here and rub it down. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Well, it looks like we're done with that. And of course, you can finish and do the other engravings if you want. See if I can pick this up and give you a better view of what it looks like. But notice the difference between what I've painted now, and then you can see the caliber and whatnot under it. Definitely makes it stand out. Again, it's easy to take off. Just use some acetone really liberally. It'll take it off. Pick your color. Honestly, I kind of like the yellow now that I've seen it. Well, that's it for today. I'm sure I'll have another project before too long. Appreciate you watching the video.